Hi guys, nice to meet you if you're new here, nice to see you if you're not new here. How's it going? I am super excited about this reading vlog. I came up with this idea. Has it been done before? Probably. I'm not that original. I guarantee it's been done before. So am I the original creator? Probably not. I have a whole notes folder dedicated to video ideas that I have. And this one I'm probably the most excited for. But anyway, about a month ago maybe, I was walking into a doctor's appointment and I don't know what strung the idea. I don't know if I saw a coin on the ground. I don't know what. But I was like, oh my goodness, what if I coin flip my books? What if I coin flip to pick what book I'm reading next? Because you have like the generators, you have like TBR jar, and I was like, oh my gosh, I should flip a coin. Heads or tails, what book am I gonna read? We're flipping a coin and we're picking my reads. I thought about doing this for like a TBR, like January TBR, but flipping a coin for it. But I also decided this year that I was going to try and stop doing so many TBRs because I never follow them. I never follow them. I'm going to flip a coin to decide what genre I'm going to read. So whether heads for mystery, tails for romance. Then we're going to decide that. We land on heads, we get mystery. I pick 2 mysteries. Then we're going to do this one's head, this one's tails. Flip it. That's the one I'm gonna read, okay? Simple enough, pretty cool, pretty exciting. I'm super excited about this video. It is time to flip a coin and pick a book. I would like to actually flip a coin, heads or tails, but we're not gonna do that yet. I think we'll do it for our next book. But here I have a coin flip thing where it'll be heads or tails, obviously. That was an over explanation that I didn't need to give you. Okay, we're gonna flip for genre, like heads romance, tails fantasy. And if I say land on heads and I get romance, then I'm going to pick 2 romances off of my physical TBR. Heads this one, tails this one, flip it again, and then whatever it lands on is what I'm reading. So we're going to pick, I think we're going to do fantasy and romance first. Heads for fantasy, tails for romance. Okay? Okay. I guarantee we're going to get romance when I want a fantasy. Okay. It's okay. I have an idea in mind. What did I say? What did I say? What did I say? I said I was going to get romance. Tails it is. Okay, let me go pick 2 options and then we'll flip again. So here's the issue. I've chosen 3 books. How do I narrow it down to 2? So right now my choices are Daisy Hates the Great Undoing, Before I Let Go, and Flock. How do I decide? Here's what I'm thinking. I did just read Magnolia Parks, so I could wait on this. Although I really want to read that book, I think these are going to be our 2 choices. I think we're going to choose these 2 books for now. This has been on my physical TBR for probably over a year now, and this one I really want to read. I just haven't gotten to it. So these are the 2 I've chosen. This is a second chance romance, and this is, I'm pretty sure, dark romance. I'm thinking heads because there's a head on the cover of this, and tails because of the wings on the cover as this. Okay, I'll tell you which one I really want to read. And that's not Flock. Okay. Heads Before I Let Go, tails, Flock. Heads. It's heads. Heads, everybody. We're reading Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan, and I'm really excited to read this. Well, we're reading Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan as our first pick of the coin flip. Quite a few days later, I'm on page 135, chapter 14. I've been reading this book. I just haven't recorded anything. There are a lot of heavy topics in this book. If you want to read this book, there is an author's note before you actually get into it, and this is talking about things that this book involves. This is not a fun, fluffy romance story where 2 people meet in a coffee shop and they fall in love. No, this story is about Yasmin and Josiah, who have already been in love. They were married, they got divorced, they're going through their heavy shifts, they're co-parenting, going to therapy. They have been through a lot as a family. With that being said, this book is about Yasmin and Josiah, who have been married and got divorced. Yasmin is in therapy. She's healing. She's finally starting to find joy in life again, which is just so beautiful. I love being inside of their heads and seeing how they see things. And like I said, this story isn't just a fun, fluffy romance, and there's some heavy topics in here. The story also kind of flips back and forth from then and now. The then parts in this book are devastating, heartbreaking, and oh my gosh. I am excited to see how they grow and heal from their past and move forward. I'm really loving this book so far. And like I said, I'm only 135 pages in, but I know that Kennedy Ryan is going to break my heart. I just know that she's gonna break my heart. Just pull my heart out of my chest, why don't you? For Christmas, my best friend got me another set of Kennedy Ryan books. It's the Hoop series. Is that book also going to break my heart and put it back together? Is that what Kennedy Ryan just does? Okay, that's enough of me talking. Let's get reading. It has been almost a week since I started this book. Couldn't find the time to read it, but I did just finish this. This book was really good. This is a romance, but this book is not just about like falling in love with someone. There are a lot of things discussed in this book that you really need to look up your trigger warnings on. There's talks about losing people, losing each other, going to therapy, finding yourself again, loving yourself before you love somebody else. They also both dealt with their grief very differently. You see it throughout the book, and then how they healed from it. I know you need to be strong for the people you love, but I want to stand with you when it rains, when the wind comes, when it's hard and the odds are stacked against us. We didn't always do that before, but I believe if and when trials come, we will stand together. There were just a lot of beautiful quotes in this book. Again, this is not just a regular, fun romance book. There are a lot of heavy topics in this book. Please set your trigger warnings up before you enter this book. You do learn a lot from this. You do take a lot from this. I have taken a lot from this book myself, and this was such a beautifully written book. I gave it a 4.5 star. It wasn't quite a 5-star read. The friendships in here, oh my gosh, the friendships in here between Yasmin and her friends, it was so beautiful. I'm really excited to read the next book, but this was our first book from our coin flip. This book has been sitting on my shelf and I've been meaning to read it. And I finally did, and I'm so glad I did, and I cannot wait for the next book. I have a coin, okay? It's a $1 coin. I decided I'm gonna try and flip this instead of using a little app to do a coin flip. We're gonna try this for this next book that we're flipping the coin for. We're gonna do like a thriller mystery / fantasy, okay? Thriller mystery heads, fantasy tails. This coin has a head on one side, and on the other side it's a Statue of Liberty. So we're gonna do statue is tails because this is the head. Because I flipped it and confused myself. So we're just gonna skip that and we're gonna flip it again, okay? What is it? What is it? What am I getting? Thriller / mystery. Okay, let me go pick some options. I'm gonna choose between these two books. It's None of This Is True and As Good as Dead. These are the two like thriller mystery books we're gonna choose from. This is a YA book. I think this is an adult thriller book. What should we do? Heads or tails? Heads or tails? Heads or tails? Heads, tails. Heads, None of This Is True. Tails, As Good as Dead. What is it? What is it? Tails. It's tails. Okay, guess what we're reading? Slay! We're reading As Good as Dead. I'm so excited. This is what I wanted. This is what I wanted. The universe is obviously looking out for me. It is looking out for me. Thank you. I did want to read this, but not yet. Not yet. I don't know how well this went. If it's better just to flip it on an app. Let's go start reading As Good as Dead. I'm so excited for this. I'm so excited for this one. Also, if I read this book, I'm doing the reading series I'm in the middle of. And this is my last book of that series. So when I read this, I also get to mark a book off of my series. Let's go read. I picked As Good as Dead. It was my coin flip. We got As Good as Dead. But I'm not really feeling like reading a physical copy of a book right now. I'm more feeling like laying down and reading a book. So what I did was I went on my Libby app. Just was so lucky that As Good as Dead wasn't rented from my library. I was just so lucky that no one's borrowing As Good as Dead right now. So I borrowed it, borrow a book from Libby, and then put your Kindle on airplane mode and you can still read your book. And that means like if you're almost, I think you get 2 weeks to borrow a book. What's going on right now? Really? Honestly, what's going on right now? Let me restart. I went on my Libby app. I went to see if As Good as Dead was being borrowed. It wasn't. So I borrowed the book. I got it on my Kindle because I don't feel like reading a physical book right now. I feel like sitting down and reading on my Kindle. That's what I just feel like. But these books aren't on the Kindle app. Okay? Okay. So what I did, put it on airplane mode. And then you can return it. And this book won't go away. It won't go away. It'll still be there until you take your Kindle off of airplane mode. I don't know how much sense that made. So I borrowed the book, I got it on my Kindle. I put my Kindle in airplane mode and I immediately returned it just in case anybody else wants to read it. Because like I said, I have the physical copy, so I don't want to take it from anybody else. I just feel like reading it on my Kindle. Anyways, that's what we're doing, is I'm reading this on my Kindle. Honestly, I over-explained that for no reason. No reason at all. Now we can go read. On chapter 22. Let me just say, one of my favorite things about this book, which I don't read thriller or mystery very often, okay, I don't read it very often, so I don't know if it's in other books, but something I love about these books are all the extra things that are in this. It's not just a story. I mean, like, there's emails in here, and there's voice recordings and entries, like diary entries. There's like police reports. A lot of stuff that's like added in. There's pictures in here that if there's something happening and Pip will take a picture of it, the picture is in here. This is the third book in the series, but each book is a different case that she's trying to work on. The first book was one case, the second book it's a whole another case that introduced like the podcast, and then this one is kind of like circling the cases, like it's a whole different case, but it's circling back to the first case. I'm on the wait list right now for 5 Survive, so whenever that goes up, whenever I can read that book, I will. I'm reading this, and like what she's coming up with and what she's thinking of, I'm like, yeah, that would never be me. Could never be me. No. I can barely remember my passwords. Like, no. She's so smart. It's just so, you know? You know when your like heart starts down and you're trying to read a little faster to I knew it. I finished this book. This video is just me looking bad in every single clip. Every single clip. I finished this book yesterday. Yep, last night I finished this book. I read a lot yesterday and I couldn't do no more. It gave me a headache reading that much. I still have a headache. Last time I recorded something for this, it was a reaction right before part 2. Or it was like as I was reading part 2. And let me tell you, I guessed that. But then it took a turn. I was like, yeah, I know what's going on. I don't. Pip, as always, she is just really into true crime and solving things. So she just is trying to solve something in this book. Instead of this being an investigation that she's studying for somebody else or trying to solve for somebody else, it turns back on her. Someone's following her and she's trying to figure that out. But then there's connections to other things. And whoa. I did enjoy this book. There were some parts in it that I was kind of just like, oh, okay. Like, I'm kind of bored a little bit. But then there were other times where my heart was racing. I'm terrified. I need to know what's going on. I'm trying to read faster than I actually read, a faster speed. This takes a turn that I wasn't expecting because it is Pip. That I was like, wait a minute. What are you doing? And I feel like the end of the book it didn't fulfill me, quite honestly. I wanted to know more on what was happening at the end. It was a little unsatisfying at the end. So I'm gonna give this book a 4.5, 4.25 because I did enjoy this book. It had me on the edge of my seat majority of the time, but I still love A Good Girl's Guide to Murder better. That's my favorite book in this series. But checking off a book on our series tracker. This isn't that video. This is not that video, but we checked off a book in our series tracker too. After our second book down, one more book to go. We're gonna flip a coin for our last and final book. Here's the thing. I know I want to read a fantasy book. Instead of flipping for a genre, I think I'm gonna flip for a fantasy. I think I'm just gonna pick 2 fantasy books out and then flip for those because I know I want to read a fantasy. I've been trying to read a fantasy this entire video and I haven't gotten them. So I think I'm just gonna pick 2 fantasies and flip for those. Now, what fantasies do I want to read? I don't know. I have an idea. We're gonna flip for a YA fantasy and adult fantasy. And then we're gonna choose 2 books from that, okay? So heads, YA fantasy, tails, adult fantasy. Ready? Heads, YA. Can you see it? Okay, what is it? Tails. It's an adult fantasy. Okay, let me go pick 2 adult fantasies out and then we'll flip again. I just went through my TBR and I realized a lot of my books are YA. A lot of my fantasy books. I definitely have a couple of adult books. Some of them I don't want to read though. Not right now. So the books that I chose are Assistant to the Villain and Starling House. I said he makes an appearance in every single video, every single one. I don't really know what these are about. This is obviously about an assistant. This is a gothic fantasy. These are the 2 books I chose, Heads and Tails. Heads for Starling House, Tails for Assistant to the Villain. Let's flip our final coin and get to read it. Okay, ready? Because I'm not. No! I almost lost it. I promise I didn't flip it. What is it? It's Heads. What did I say? I think this is what I said. This is what we're reading last. I'm excited. I'm actually quite excited. A gothic fantasy. I don't think I've ever read one of those. Let's go. We are just gonna ignore how I look right now. We're just gonna ignore it. I washed my hair and I let it air dry and now it's just frizzy. Okay. It's a package. I don't know what it is. I will get it in a minute. But I have some news for you. I had to put it down. Listen, I know so many people love this book, and it's not that I don't like this book. I personally think I would like this book better as an audiobook. I've been trying to read this book for almost a week now. I think I picked this book last Tuesday. I don't know. It's Tuesday today though. In that full week, I got 56 pages in because I couldn't read more than like 5 or so pages at a time. And like I said, this book is not bad. Let me preface that. This book is not bad, okay? This book was actually really interesting. I have the library book on hold to listen to the audiobook, and I'm going to listen to it, but I just couldn't read this book. I don't know if it's because there's a horror aspect to it, and I don't do horror. I have a really hard time actually with it. I didn't want to scare myself, and it is not a bad book so far. I was enjoying the 50 pages that I've read, but I just can't read it. I will be finishing this book at another time on audio. You'll see it on my Goodreads if you follow me on Goodreads. You'll see it on my Goodreads though. This was actually such a fun idea. I don't quite know how this goes, how this video went, because it took me 3 weeks to film. It took me 3 weeks to film. For whatever reason, I literally read 3 books for this video. Just a little recap in this video. We read Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. I absolutely love this book. I love the therapy. I love the friendships in this book. I love the relationship between the parents and their kids. That kind of relationship bloom and grow and restore. I'm hoping we get a book on all 3 friends. But that's just me. Then the second book we read was As Good as Dead. This book I settled on a 4-star rating because nothing beats A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. The first one will never be overtopped. Well, maybe by other books. But out of the series, the first book is the best book. This book was great. The plot twist, didn't expect that. But I felt so, I don't know the word, but for the end of the book, I just wish there was a, like, this is a 450 page book, but the ending didn't give. It didn't give me enough. It didn't. I wish there was a bit more at the ending. I felt a little like left out. Everything that we went through in this book with Pip and Robbie, it was still a good book, don't get me wrong. Oh my gosh, what's gonna happen next? What's gonna happen? What's happening? My heart is racing. It's really just the ending and the plot twist, because that's just not what I expected at all. The plot twisted, but it was a weird twist. These are the 3 books that 2.5 books, 2.25 books that I read in this video for my coin flip. I actually had a lot of fun doing the coin flip, and I think I will be doing it again, but I'm gonna have to buy a bigger coin. Because this little coin, I've already lost it too. I don't know where it is. I did just have it. Okay, here it is. This little coin, could you even see it? I doubt it. Well, that's all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, like this video, maybe subscribe. I hopefully will see you next time. Bye. Thanks for watching.